What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming to you once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats in our Mover of the Year feature for 2023, Christian McCaffrey, running back of the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to rewind back to the early part of the season, week 4 here in San Francisco against division rival in Arizona Cardinals, to see Christian McCaffrey doing one of the things that sets him apart from all other special movers in the National Football League: the coordination, control, and organization of highly novel or creative, highly authentic movement strategies and solutions. In this case, on two separate plays in the form of a hurdle, which is controlled and adjusted to match and meet the needs of the what is, that alive movement problem, that unique movement problem, to show that just like no new two movement problems are the same, neither are any two movement solutions, even if they both happen to be a hurdle which you can go back and look throughout his course of his career. Christian McCaffrey, CMC, even when he was at the Panthers, even way back when he was at the Stanford Cardinal, and even back to Valor Christian. Seeing the employment of this type of movement strategy, a hurdle move, which really takes him back to his high school career as a track and field athlete as well, to a certain degree, showing why his abundance in the variability of his movement strategies is a huge calling card to his adaptability and his dexterity. So without further ado, let's get into both of these plays. We're going to watch them at 100% speed, this one early in the game. Look at Trent Williams, number 71, getting out there pulling like a war daddy right off the bat. We got to respect that. We got to look at, I got to just pinpoint this right now. You see a big old cat, maybe the best offensive tackle, best left tackle in the game, or one of them, getting out in space, pulling alongside of another offensive lineman here, number 65. Two guys getting out and getting moving to allow Christian McCaffrey to do what he does. So let's not miss that. But let's watch it again at a couple more times, 100% speed, as we see that little hurdle. And then we're going to see that gather in really that ownership that allows him to find his way in and through traffic in a really special way. Now, granted, this play doesn't go for big yardage, but it's still special in its own right. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but I really want to focus on it enough for us to see it for what it's worth, to set the tone for a play that happens later in the game for CMC. Now, this play, a running play, and the second play being going to be a passing play with a little toss pass that ends up being, I think, actually behind the line of scrimmage. So it ends up being a carry. But what I want you guys to really look at is how he's not moving for movement's sake. What do I mean by that? He's just not going and just executing some novel or creative movement strategy without knowing how it's going to be coordinated, controlled, and organized to fit the actual needs, to actually fit in with that unfolding movement problem where that defender is going. So let's really take that hurdle for what it is. But let's not miss some things here. Oops, let me get, oh, my screen is going a little ape shit here on us. So I apologize for that kind of psychedelic trip that we all had. Um, but watch a few things here. Look at the patience right off the bat. Now, granted, this is oriented around timing. He's got to let 65 and 71 get out in front of him, as well as Kittle to have this crack back towards the inside that you see right here. But you can see him gather and control his movement speed, not hit it too quickly or too fast. Now, granted, a lot of running backs are going to be able to do this, but it's what he does and how he does it that really sets the tone for what he's about to do and what we see him do week in and week out, snap in and snap out across the NFL games, okay, across situations. Remember, dexterity, the ability to solve any emerging movement problem in any situation, in any condition. We can see that he's always sort of moving in this ownership type of pace or speed, moving as fast as he needs to in order to pick up the affordances, not moving as fast as he can. Notice the difference there, that there's a disparity. Ownership speed, moving as fast as one needs to still allow them to connect to the unfolding movement problem versus just moving like your freaking hair is on fire, like a lot of running backs would, and they're just going to go slam it up in there, jam it in there, even with these two pullers. And one of the things that allows Christian to be as adaptable as he actually is, to organize some of these really novel, really creative movement strategies and solutions, like the hurdle we're going to see here, and like the hurdle we're going to be seeing second, is his ability to slow down a little bit and not move at that maximum speed or velocity until he has to, until the opportunity is there. And that's really what we see from him, even in slow motion here, as big old Trent Williams gets out in space. And it allows Christian to allow the what is, this unfolding, changing problem in front of him with the opportunities and the defenders closing space and gaps opening and closing, for him to be able to connect to it and couple his movement behaviors in close relation to it. I don't want you guys to miss this because you're not going to see it at this type of level, even in this type of movement problem, as much as you will with Christian McCaffrey. Okay. And it's because of that ownership speed that he's able to pick up this defender who's coming from right to left or from Christian's left, that he's able to pick this individual up. And you can see right here out of this periphery, if I can get my drawing tools out, you can see right here out of his periphery that he begins to look towards him. And you look at the players, the defenders' posture, kinematics, his behaviors. If Christian is able to, quote unquote, process, of course, I don't like that word. What I would love instead would be to detect the information about that individual's action opportunities, that individual's affordances, meaning this player's behaviors. Remember, behavior affords behavior, as J.J. Gibson would tell us. So how our immediate opponent or how other moving bodies are acting affords certain actions from oneself. And we see it from Christian McCaffrey here as he's looking and his periphery down to his left. Now, he has seen these types of movement problems unfold in similar ways frequently enough to know what types of behaviors he has afforded to him. He might be able to sidestep, if we think about this as a landscape of affordances, right? He may be able to sidestep from left to right, maybe in a transitional crossover fashion. So he'd put this right foot down and cross that left one over. We do see him do that at times to sort of move in this lateral fashion. But we will also see him with this short hurdle. Okay. We will also maybe even see him throw this right foot down and move back to his left, back at one of these types of angles, depending on where this defender is. We will see that from him depending on the situation. Of course, he wants to take full advantage of big old Trent Williams getting out in space. Deebo Samuel, there he is yet again as we see him over and over and over again. And we know that there's other moving bodies out here that likely will work to his advantage. So it's likely he's not going to take this affordance or accept this opportunity to act where he would throw this right foot down and move back to his left, back towards the middle of the field, though that would have been an option potentially. But he wants to go where Shanahan wants him to go also, and that is to move in space here alongside of Trent Williams. And so now we see, because of where that defender is going and how that defender is going there, I paused it at a good place, but watch it unfold. Right here, as he starts to move this, we see that feeler hand down to determine where is that guy in relation to me. And if I might have misperceived or misjudged it, if I'm Christian McCaffrey, I have something there to deflect any sort of pressure, a potential tackle attempt if this guy actually ends up getting a piece of me. But we see him right here then be able to just kind of replace this foot in a hurdle or hop type of fashion. Look at the contortion that we see from Christian McCaffrey, but yet at the same time, guys and gals, let's not miss the forest through the trees. Let's not miss the nuances. He is already looking down, judging how close he might be to Trent Williams to determine how he might be able to act. He being Christian himself, CMC himself, right? So we can see that he has to short hop this a bit, knowing full well that he's going to regather himself and get himself in ownership speed once again connected to the what is. Let's see it again, okay? Hopefully it's all making some sense. Hopefully we're finding it and seeing it here, okay? Let's not miss it, because these are the layers within Christian McCaffrey's movement toolbox. These are the special things that make up his special sauce, okay? We also often see him be able to really keep going from one movement problem to the next. We see this simultaneous affordance connection, but also successive affordances. So how he solves one movement problem is going to flow into how he solves the next, but we often do see him sort of reset himself after a movement problem, after he has solved one. This would be one local movement problem, obviously. There's a bunch of them taking place in succession, right? We don't know where one movement problem ends and another one begins, so we can't say that wholeheartedly. But what we can say is when Christian McCaffrey solves one local movement problem, you're often going to find him reset in this way, kind of regather like it's a totally different play. Okay. Remember what I said about him being able to hit the gas pedal when the opportunity is there. Okay. He sees Debo being able to wall off this defender at least ever so slightly, even though I think this defender ends up kind of sneaking on through here, right? Like we're going to see this defender come in and maybe at least close this gap a little bit. He knows that he's got a free defender here who's going to quickly enter this space, and likely Christian himself is perceiving at about this type of vista, right? Depending on where his eyes are moving within his helmet. Okay. And then he's got Trent Williams out here who wants to go pancake somebody. So he doesn't know what necessarily is going to unfold, but look at his movement behaviors now. Look at his shin angle. Look at his position. You can tell he knows without a hesitation, he's going to act very decisively to hit that gas pedal. And we're talking about world class for football acceleration in short distances, acceleration probably 5, 7, 10 yards at the running back position, almost as good as it gets. Maybe a few other guys in there. But watch as he does this. Okay. He's going to, in a hiccup, hit this gas pedal decisively. Look at the movement mechanics of the behaviors. Don't say that the actions or the biomechanics don't matter. They certainly can and could in certain scenarios, right? For him to hit this 3-step acceleration or quickness in the way that he does to eat up this space, he's got to hit some of this types of shapes or positions or patterns as good as it comes, as crisp and clean as it comes. But the thing I want you guys to ensure that we do not miss is watch when I think he hits the 3rd step here, and he has to contort his body ever so slightly, as good as it comes, deflecting guys off of him at the running back position to pick up additional yards. because he doesn't know for sure, even though this guy does end up taking him down with this tackle. There's a lot of times that you're going to see Christian McCaffrey with that back foot because of the way that he contorts himself. That back foot gets out of the grasp of many defenders and he ends up continuing to go. Okay. So let's move on. Let me get our play back where it needs to be, and we got to go find ourselves here a little further. Oh, there we are. In the video, in the game. Now, just into the second quarter, like I said, this short little swing pass, right, from Brock Purdy that ends up going behind the line of scrimmage. So this would have been a lateral, I think, depending on the way that you'd be looking at it there, right? But another scenario, another situation. Let's remember what dexterity is: the ability to solve any emerging movement problem in any situation. So when situations change or when conditions change, obviously the conditions aren't going to change very much here, with the exception of maybe fatigue a little bit, pressure a little bit, anxiety a little bit, the score potentially, right? The heat and the temperature and those types of things from a condition standpoint. But the situation now, okay, him in space at the numbers with a bunch of guys, a bunch of his own guys in space, the situation has now changed. Okay, let's even look at these guys. Let's put a stamp on some of them. Okay, we got a bunch of guys that are moving in space. We got Christian himself, Juszczyk, and then 3 additional blockers here, depending on exactly how we want to look at this movement problem. This 5v3 or 5v4, 5v5, depending on when we take it. Again, a really easy way for us to set up a learning environment if we have enough bodies to give players goes and exposure at solving these types of movement problems. Okay. But remember what I said: the control, the adjustability of this coordination pattern. What is the coordination pattern? What is the coordination strategy? It's going to be that hurdle strategy again, but it's going to be context conditioned. So we're going to have context conditioned variability of that hurdle. This hurdle that we're about to see at 100% speed is going to take place in a totally different scenario and situation. Let's watch and see. Okay. Different player, different angle, different time, different space, different speed, different posture, different kinematics. Hopefully that makes some sense. Let's watch it again. Okay. Hopefully I can get there. Watch it one more time at 100% speed. Okay. Now we see the hurdle. It's coming off of a different leg. I lied. Let's do it one more time at 100% speed. And he's going to move in a different type of fashion when he lands, because the movement problem itself is totally different. Okay. Again, no two problems the same. So the movement strategy, even if it is the same, it is only ever similar to. It is never the same. Okay. Never ever. That's what Bernstein would have told us long ago. That's rep without rep. Just like no two movement solutions are the same, neither are any two problems, as I've told you guys before. So let's really look at this now at slow speed. Remember, what is he attuning to? What information is he connecting to? What information is speaking to him? And how does that information specify affordances or opportunities to act? What information is he attuned to? What is he adaptable around? What he is adaptable around is the unfolding context, the what is. And we see it here. Okay. Again, look at his posture. Look at his movement strategy. I told you guys earlier the ownership speed. He doesn't run like his hair's on fire until he has to hit the gas pedal, until he knows that a gap is closing or one is opening, that he needs to be at a different velocity. But until then, he moves at ownership speed to coordinate, control, and organize the movement solution that is functionally fit to that movement problem. Okay. Ownership speed, moving as fast as one needs to in order to take in the information about what's unfolding. And I apologize that it's a little blurry here. Usually NFL videos are not this blurry, but for whatever reason, maybe it's my internet bandwidth or something of the like. But we can see that that posture of the defender has led once again to the positions or the behaviors that are afforded to CMC. But he changes, still contorting himself, still leaping in a hurdle type of fashion, landing on the other leg, gathering himself, but having more speed behind it because of how much of a different run up he had here. But look at where and how he lands. Okay. This is where the multi sport athlete comes into play. This is where being exposed to a wide range of movement problems comes into play. This is where the movement form of life, of having no way as the way in a Bruce Lee fashion, comes into play, guys and gals. He's always very controlled and very comfortable in whatever movement strategy he finds himself in. Then we see it happen very similar to that, which what it does in some of our other videos, where now it's turned into, right when he passes that relation, now it's turned into a 2v1 again. And let's not forget what I've said. Christian McCaffrey is as good as it comes in the National Football League today at 2v1, himself, a blocker, and a defender. Who is going to win? It's going to be Christian more often than not. But now that the context has changed, okay, in comparison to some of our other plays that we're going to get into in our Mover of the Year feature, where we see these 2v1 relationships unfold, he knows it's about hitting that gas pedal because he smells blood, and blood in the form of pay dirt, right? So even though he doesn't read Deebo Samuel nearly as much as he does in some of the other plays, or Brandon Ayuk, or whomever it might be, George Kittle or the like, he just puts his head down, goes from one movement strategy to the next, one local movement problem to the next. And he could have gone either way here. And one could argue that he probably should have gone to the right and gone to the sideline here. But who are we to say it's Christian McCaffrey, Mover of the Year 2023? But based on the way that that interaction was unfolding, I think we could probably say that if he were to have it back, or if this were to be in bigger open space, based on the way that this is unfolding, we can see the body posture and position here of Deebo, and we can see this defender able to be coming free and moving into that space. Christian likely should have gone here instead. Okay. But again, the unfolding context. He's inside of the 10. He's at the 7.5 yard line. The goal line is right there. It's this 2v1, and he trusts himself to have enough speed here. But again, if this were taking place in a different situation, maybe it's at the 40, the 50, or deeper on the field, or maybe it's with a different type of width, it's likely that Christian is moving at a little slower pace right now, even coming out of that hurdle. And he's much more attuned, sensitive, and adaptable around exactly how this is unfolding. So he chooses the right way to go. This just happens to be right because of how close he is to pay dirt. So hopefully some of this stuff is making some sense for you all. I hope you guys are enjoying our Mover of the Year feature here for 2023, Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers. Today we saw him, or in this video we saw him, executing the creative movement actions that are emerging from context. In that context, shaping the content of the movement strategies and solutions, the coordination, the control, and ultimately the way that they're organized, both leading up into that movement strategy and the employment of it, as well as then immediately after. Hopefully it's all making some sense for you guys. If you have questions, thoughts, ideas, put them in the comment section below. Otherwise, hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe. You guys know the deal. And hopefully you keep watching, our videos here for the Mover of the Year feature for 2023 with Christian McCaffrey. There's a lot more special stuff to come.